Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our Spotlight webinar. Today's highlighting civil and environmental engineering. And we have with us today Professor Becerik-Gerber, as well as Christine Shea, who is going to give fantastic insight into all of the master's degree programs that we have in civil and environmental engineering. And I'm also here today to talk a little bit about USC and the Viterbi School, as well as enrollment options. My name is Erin Tanaka. I represent the Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement Office. So we're excited to have you all with us today. So just one quick note, you will receive a follow-up email within 1 to 2 business days. That email will contain copies of the slides, as well as some quick important follow-up links. And for those of you that are joining us during this watching this recording in the future, I just wanted to note that, always make sure to check the website for the latest information. The information today is current as of today, which is April 14th, 2022. So I just wanted to send that quick note as well. And then for those of you that are joining us for this live session, throughout, you are more than welcome to use the Q&A panel to the right of the session to ask questions. And we will be able actually to answer those during the Q&A session, which we will have dedicated time for. So, but you're welcome to submit those throughout this session. So for today's program, I will start out by giving a quick overview of the University of Southern California, USC, of course, and then I will give an overview of the Viterbi School of Engineering, and then we'll jump into the focus of today's session, which is, of course, going to highlight the civil and environmental engineering programs that both Dr. Becerik as well as Christine will be able to provide insight on, as well as talking about the application criteria. I will then talk about the enrollment options, including our online Gen Viterbi delivery methods, followed by tuition and funding information. And then, as I mentioned, of course, we'll have dedicated time for a Q&A session, because I'm sure you all have some great questions. So just some snapshots of our beautiful campus and a little bit about USC. So we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. We were founded way back in 1880. Currently, we have over 49,000 students. Our graduate student population actually being the outnumbers our undergrad student population, which a lot of people find pretty surprising. And so our graduate students are a huge part of that population. And we have over 4,700 full-time faculty members, which doesn't include many of the adjunct faculty and guest lecturers that come from a variety of different fields and industries, on top of all the expertise that the faculty members have in a variety of different areas. We have very diverse student population. So we have students from all over the nation, well over 100 different countries at any given point. And so all different students from different walks of life that really add value to our campus. And we are located in Los Angeles. For those of you that may not be familiar with the Southern California, Los Angeles area, we are, really in the middle of all the action within LA. Things are always going on in Los Angeles, but we are about a 10 to 15-minute drive from the downtown area. We're also about a 45-minute or so, always depending on traffic in LA, from the Silicon Beach area. And so that positions us well for many opportunities in engineering and technical professions and career opportunities. But beyond that, USC is very well known to have a variety of connections and partnerships with organizations and companies that really are looking to hire our students. And then in terms of the Viterbi School of Engineering, so we are one of the oldest and largest schools, academic schools within the larger USC campus. And so we are comprised of 8 academic departments, one of which is our civil and environmental engineering department. And so, of course, we'll highlight that today. But I also wanted to mention that in terms of our graduate students, as you can see here with Viterbi alone, we have over 6,300 graduate students. So that includes our master's degree students, both online and on campus, our PhD students, and grad certificate students as well. And so as you see there, essentially double that of our undergraduate graduate student population. So huge part of the Viterbi School. And then also, somewhat connected to that as well, we have a number of our PhD students alongside our fantastic faculty members that are engaging in research in over 35 different research centers, which we can talk a little bit more about in a bit as well. Our faculty members, we have 189 tenure track faculty, 33 National Academy of Engineering members, which is one of the greatest honors you can receive as an engineer, and then over 90 National Science Foundation Career National and Presidential Young Investigator awardees. But now I'm specifically going to highlight and introduce our professor, Dr. Birchin Becerik-Gerber. She is our chair and dean professor for the Sunny Astani Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. She's also our director of our graduate programs within the Sunny Astani Department since 2017. She earned her Bachelor of Architecture from the Istanbul Technical University. She also has her Master of Science degree in Engineering from UC Berkeley and Doctor of Design from Harvard University. She's also the co-director of the USC Center for Intelligent Environment, and also a National Science Foundation Early Career Awardee, via Tech Celebration of Engineering and Technology Outstanding Research Award, as well as one of MIT's TR35 list, which is essentially a list of the top innovators under the age of 35, and Dr. Becerik was one of those members that were recognized. So without further ado, Dr. Becerik, happy to have you here with us today. And if you would go ahead and give us a little bit insight into the master's degree program.
Great. Thank you so much for that fantastic introduction. So if we can go to our next slide, I'm going to start talking about our students and faculty. And so as you can see in this slide, the breakdown of our students, undergraduate, master's, and PhD are presented in the pie chart on the left. We are a small department, but a niche department, and I'm going to talk about those unique areas that we focus. We're different than the traditional civil and environmental engineering departments, which make us unique. And I'll give a little bit more information about those unique areas that we focus on. We have about 25, we have 25 tenure track faculty, 5 full-time teaching faculty, and several adjunct and part-time faculty members. And so this is a great combination in the sense that our tenure track faculty are extremely research active, and we're going to talk about their research and how they're trying to bring innovation, not only in their research, but also into their classrooms. At the same time, being in Los Angeles, in a mega city, there's several practicing engineers who are part of our department teaching part-time, and they're bringing this industry experience to our department. So it's a great combination of research, innovative research coming together with industry experience. All right, so here are some of our faculty, and we have listed here their courses, some of the courses that they're teaching. So the gentleman on the left side is Dr. Buka Nueke, and he focuses on seismic hazard modeling. He is one of the newest additions to our faculty, along with another professor, Dr. Audrey Olivier. And his research is at the intersection of natural and built environment, and he focuses on strengthening seismic and geotechnical hazard resiliency. So he looks at, he creates tools in terms of seismic hazards and earthquake engineering, how to prevent and build sound structures for these hazards, and comes up with mitigation methods. So next is our previous chair, Professor Lucio Soibelman, and you see here a news clip about him because he got last year's not actually last year, this year's, this is very recent, 2022 ASE Research Award, specifically focusing on construction. His research brings together advanced data acquisition, management, visualization, data mining for construction and operation of advanced infrastructure systems. So he teaches data management for civil and environmental engineering in our department, as well as fundamental concepts of computing and programming for civil and environmental engineering. And he's a great example of how to bring computer science methods or computing methods into civil and environmental engineering. Here you see the career awardees. NSF Career Award is one of the top awards that you can receive early in your career. And you see two familiar faces there from our department. One of them is Dr. Chiming Wang, and the other one is Dr. McCurry. Dr. Chiming Wang focuses on bio-inspired manufacturing, and he develops new materials, unprecedented materials for our built infrastructure. So think about smart materials, self-healing materials, as well as engineered living materials. So microorganism material hybrids, plant material hybrids, and he architects these new materials, as well as he focuses on additive manufacturing. So how to build the new methods of building buildings through bio-inspired manufacturing process, really innovative research. And he teaches our structural instability and failure class and brings these innovative methods and research findings into his classes. Dr. McCurry focuses on public health and specifically looks into safety of engineered water sources. So he's in environmental engineering, and he uses the tools in environmental organic chemistry as well as analytical chemistry to answer questions in water quality. And also another professor, which is the last article you see here, Professor Adam Smith, is also in environmental engineering, similar to Dr. McCurry. And he looks at water management, specifically microbially driven engineered processes for water management. He focuses on resource recovery, energy, nutrients, and water from waste streams. And he brings chemical, molecular, and bioinformatic tools to his solutions for improving water infrastructure. And he teaches here, as you can see, ENE 553, biological processes in environmental engineering. So let's go to the next slide. So as you can see, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the presentation, research active faculty really bring innovative, cutting edge methods to our classrooms. We have also organized ourselves around these 4 research areas that are not very traditional, and we think that these are our niche and unique contributions, and that makes us also very competitive in terms of the novel ideas we bring into the classroom. So sustainable development, sustainability is one of the areas, as you have heard. For example, Dr. McCurry or Dr. Smith are focusing on these areas. Water quality, access, and distribution is another research area we focus. We have a very strong water group. I didn't talk about disasters and extreme events. We might have some examples in the following slides. Actually, I mentioned earthquake engineering with Dr. Nueke. And also we have several faculty members that focus on structural health monitoring, as well as disasters and tsunamis and hurricanes and such, and how they impact coastal infrastructure. Last but not least, coupling of complex systems. We look in how impact of infrastructure systems on each other, and uncertainty relating to infrastructure systems. On the right, you see our labs and centers. I'm not going to go through them, but if you go to our website, we have web pages for each one of these labs and centers. Okay, so continuing along these lines, we have a couple more examples, and one of them is me, which is easy to talk about. But before we get there, we have Dr. Gençtürk, and he focuses on durability and extreme event resilience of reinforced concrete structures. And he has a focus on application of high performance materials. So here's an article where his research is highlighted, and he focuses on concrete that heals its own cracks without losing its strength. And maybe one thing that could be interesting is when we're distributing the slides, we can add the hyperlinks to these articles so that they can, if they're interested, read more in detail of these research projects. So I focus on, as you heard from the introduction, I have background in civil engineering as well as architecture, and I also consider myself a technologist. So I look at the interface between humans and the built environment and try to mathematically model human behavior or occupant behavior and integrate that behavior. And what I mean by behavior is needs, requirements, desires, habits, preferences into building design and building operation. So I teach also two of my courses are highlighted here, building information modeling, which is a very popular class in our department. And I also teach advanced research methods for built environments. I also direct iLab, where I have 7 PhD students and several masters and undergraduate students. Together, we do research in human building interaction. So the next one on the right, the image as well as the highlight is about a new course that we put together, and I'm proud to mention that I've been part of this effort. And this is a class that is very unique in the sense that it brings together engineering students with non-engineering students to innovate engineering products and technologies and services with a human-centered approach for providing solutions, life improving or life saving solutions for people who are affected the most by the global crises. So this is a course that attracts socially minded, critical thinking kind of students together. And this course focused for 2 years. This is a 2-semester course on refugee crisis. This was in I believe 18 and 19. Unfortunately, we have the same problem these days in Europe. And then during pandemic, it focused on the pandemic itself as a global crisis. And this year, our students went to Alaska, where they looked at sustainability solutions. We wanted to do something within the states, and they're innovating on different solutions that bring about sustainability in a very specific geography. So I should also mention that we produced a documentary, and it is called Lives, Not Grades, as you can see here. And this was a surprise to me, but it was nominated. It was shortlisted for Emmys this year. So we're going to see if we get the Emmys or not, which is very unique in the sense that you wouldn't think an engineering class to be nominated for such an award. But the impact has been tremendous, both on the students as well as on the populations that we're trying to help. And if you just Google Lives, Not Grades, PBS, or Link TV, you can watch also the documentary. It's about 55 minutes. So I think at this point, I'm going to pass it to Christine.
Thank you, Dr. Becerik. Hopefully you've gotten a sense of the the different facets of research and applications of engineering, how we apply, the skill set that you will learn here into the real world. Now to kind of get into some of the nitty gritty about what programs we offer. So here's our entire list. I'll read it with you. So we have the Masters of Science in Civil Engineering, and then we actually have 3 construction programs. There's the Masters of Science in Civil Engineering, Advanced Design and Construction Technology, and then another emphasis in construction engineering. And then at the bottom, I'll just shoot ahead, there's the master's in construction management. I'll go over the differences in those, but just note that there are kind of 3 construction programs. And then we have a master's of science, civil engineering, structural engineering, transportation systems, and water and waste management. And to round things out, a master's in environmental engineering, and then the master's in transportation systems management. And so I know that one of the questions that we often get about the construction programs are to kind of highlight what are the differences. I think the main difference with the Masters of Construction Management is that that's a degree that really you don't need an engineering or STEM background. We have students who are coming from all sorts of backgrounds to get involved in that degree program. And so if you're interested in construction with more of an emphasis on the management side of things, this is a great program for you. For the Masters of Science in Civil Engineering and Construction Engineering, this is going to focus more on the engineering aspects of construction, and both of the programs, the construction engineering and the construction management, those are typically very traditional training for students to obtain the knowledge that you need to successfully work in the construction industry. Our newest construction program, Advanced Design and Construction Technology, and Dr. Becerik, this is kind of, you know a lot about this stuff too, but so you jump in if you wish, but this is going to really focus on innovations in the industry. So you're going to see a lot of AI and big data in this field. Digital twins are introduced in this program as well. So just depending on how you want to steer your construction future, you have 3 options. But what is interesting about these 3 programs, they're flexible enough where even if you choose one program, you can take courses from the other one to kind of with your elective credit. So we do see students kind of mix and match with their electives to kind of to build the program that they're looking for. Anything that you want to add, Dr. Bajeric, or I should keep going?
I think you summarized it really well. In this Advanced Design and Construction Technology program, we want to bring advancements in computing and robotics and automation to the classroom, because this is going to be the future of construction as well as civil engineering. So it is focused on this very exciting topic and taught by faculty, as I mentioned, who do their research in this area or who have extensive practical knowledge in this area.
And I would say the same goes kind of for the rest of our programs, obviously taught by our tenure or tenure track faculty, or professors of practice, or our part-time lecturers. And we just wanted to emphasize the difference between the construction programs, because we know we do get a lot of questions about that. And of course, we have time for questions at the end as well if you have more questions. But to move on, let's just talk about the kind of what you can expect in terms of enrollment loads. Most of our programs require that you complete 28 units. So the grand majority of our programs are 28. The Masters of Construction Management is a 32-unit program. And then our Transportation Systems Management program is 32 to 35. That's the Transportation Systems Management program is very customizable. So when students build their course plan, they usually end up at 32 or 32, 34, et cetera, up to 35 units. So that kind of just is based on your preference. In terms of time to degree, if you're a full-time student taking 8 units a semester, you're usually looking at 3 to 4 semesters, depending on how many units are in your program. And then our part-time students usually are taking 4 units a semester, and so they'll be here potentially for 7 or 8. Honestly, sometimes our students who are working will sometimes opt to take a summer class if it's being offered, or they'll double up one semester and take maybe 6 or 8 units. But for working professionals, we always recommend that you start off with 4, see how it goes, make sure that work is going well and school. And if you just kill it and nail it that first semester and feel like, yes, I'm ready to up it to more units, fantastic. We can talk about, building a pathway for you to up those units And so we do see sometimes students get here out of here even faster. But if you were to really just take one class a semester, you're usually looking at 7 to 8 semesters. And then moving along, I think that we, just in terms of what our students do and what our graduates do, Dr. Becerik, did you want to shy about this?
Sure, we can both chime in here.
Yes.
It is really varied depending on the student interest. So some of them go to the industry, and some of the examples I can give are large construction or structural engineering companies. Some of them go to utilities or government agencies. Some of them choose to go to research fields, depending on their background, and do research in the industry. Some start their own startups, and some others join tech companies. So it is. I can't say that there's one path in terms of what they do, and it is quite varied. What I can tell you is our students have been very successful in terms of placement, and sometimes they have jobs during their studies, of course, but sometimes they get their jobs even before they graduate. Christine, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Erin, if we can advance the slide, this is just a summary of what Dr. Becerik discussed. And just in terms of support for your success, after graduation, we do have, a Viterbi Career Service Center that focuses on just serving students who have an engineering background and connecting them with opportunities from industry that are looking for students with that engineering background. So you already have, as a USC student, access to the Career Service Center that everyone can use, and we encourage you to use that. But on top of that, we have our own Career Service Center that has its own career fair. They will do mock interviews with you so that you're ready for behavioral and technical interviews. They'll go over your resumes. We have our own industry events and evenings for you to mix and get to network. So there's a lot of support. Again, even if you have a current job, you might be looking to expand your network, see what other opportunities are out there. And one of my favorite things that the Career Service Center does within Viterbi is they often guide students about how much they should be negotiating for a salary. And they often say that students are undervaluing themselves. And so they'll come in and tell, like, for instance, Patty, who works over there, like, I'm not going to accept any offer under this. And she's like, yeah, like it starts off 20,000 higher than what you just said. So let's talk about, getting you on strong footing to get the most out of this negotiation for a position. So really a lot of support while you're here. Within the department, we also have student organizations that have their own industry nights and ties with industry. And again, your faculty usually have ties to industry as well. Those lecturers who are coming from industry. So it's just a lot of opportunity for you to make those connections. Even if you don't go to the Career Service Center, people teaching your classes are very often a great opportunity for you as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. That was a fantastic overview and insight into not only the programs but also the career opportunities. I really appreciate that. And so for those of you that are joining us today for this session, again, start to think of your questions that you have. We will have that Q&A session at the end. But now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the application and enrollment options for those that want to get started as soon as possible. So this is the general application criteria for the master's degree program, just keeping in mind that, individual programs will have their own requirements. But generally speaking, an undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or hard science from a regionally accredited university is required. During the application process, you will need to submit copies of your registrar-issued transcripts. The fastest way to do that is to upload that through the application system as you're applying. But just as a note there too, as was previously discussed earlier by Christine, the Master of Construction Management program is as well as the Master of Science in Transportation Systems Management, those are open to other majors. So you don't have to have an engineering, math, or hard science background. With construction management, as mentioned again, a variety of different diverse undergraduate degree programs. So you're not just limited to those with STEM backgrounds for those particular programs. And there's more information about the individual, types of backgrounds for each individual program page. And then in terms of the GPA, we got to question all the time, what is the minimum GPA? We recommend a 3.0 and a 4.0 scale. That's recommended as your cumulative undergrad GPA, but it's not required. So, if you have less than that, don't let them discourage you from not applying at all. We will take a look at all of your application materials as listed. There's a reason there are several materials that are required. But so some of these materials, so good news is the GRE as well as the GMAT is not required, at least for admission to this coming fall 2022 term. So, we do not foresee, that returning at least in the nearest future, but that can change in the future as well. So always make sure, as I mentioned again, to check the website for the most up-to-date information. In terms of the resume or CV, that's required. Personal statements also required. Letters of recommendation are going to depend the most based off of the individual program. So some of them they're optional, meaning that you don't have to submit them unless you feel like it would really help strengthen your application. Others, they may be required. So again, see the individual program page. And then for those that are international applicants, the TOEFL is most often required in order to show proof of English proficiency. So again, you want to take a look at those individual program pages to find the actual details for each of these specific requirements. And then in terms of application deadlines, so for fall 2022, we actually just recently extended our application deadline for online Viterbi students, those who are planning to pursue their program in its entirety online. Just a quick note there that, so it doesn't apply to on-campus or students or those that require an F1 student visa. Reason being is that student visa processing can take a good amount of time. So we do have a little bit more flexibility for online students because we actually don't grant student visas to online Viterbi students. So that's also an important note to make there. So if you do require an F1 student visa, make sure that you'll need to apply as an on-campus student and complete your degree program as an on-campus student. But anyway, if you are planning to pursue your program online, then May 31st is the last deadline, that last opportunity to apply for fall 2022, but we do encourage you to apply as early as possible still. In terms of spring 2023, so that's the next available term, which would start in January of next year. The scholarship consideration deadline for on-campus students is going to be August 31st, and I'll talk about Viterbi scholarships in a bit. And the deadline to submit all required materials is going to be September 15th of this year. And then for fall 2023, which would start in August of 2023, that's going to be, the deadline will be for scholarship consideration, December 15th of 2022, again, on campus only applicants, and then January 15th for the for required materials. You see the asterisk there though, for those again that are looking to pursue the program online via Viterbi, we often do have flexibility, so feel free to reach out to deniviterbi.usc.edu for more details about the extension and whether you can have more time. So now in terms of course delivery methods, so this is just generally speaking, I know that Christine talked about, the number of courses or the units per semester, but generally speaking, our on-campus students tend to go on a full-time basis. They're taking about 2 to 3 courses, depending on, the individual semester and the number of units. And they take around 1.5 to 2 years to complete their degree. And then our online Viterbi students, because the large majority are working professionals, oftentimes full-time working professionals, and just can't take a full course load, they generally are taking 1 or 2 courses per semester. But as mentioned, it's flexible. So, if you want to take as long as 5 years to complete your degree, and you can even petition for additional 2 years for a max of 7 years, you can do that. Some students have because it works with their schedule. And so having that flexibility is nice. But, generally speaking, because we get asked, well, how long does it typically take? And we're seeing on average about 2.5 to 3.5 years. But again, just depends on a number of factors, and whether how many courses you take per semester and whether you opt to take summer or not, which is considered optional. Now, in terms of our online Viterbi delivery, so I did see that the large majority of you are interested in pursuing a program online or undecided. So, we know there's a lot of different online delivery methods out there, but, Viterbi is actually the USC Viterbi School's own proprietary web-based delivery system. And so the way that it works is that you can watch the lectures live as they're happening on USC's campus. That would enable you to engage with the faculty as well as other students. You can call in during the live lectures, you can chat during the sessions as well. But if you are not able to attend the live lectures, maybe because of your work schedule or other personal obligations, you also can watch the lectures on your own time via the course recording. So each of those live sessions are recorded. You can then watch it as many times as you need to throughout the semester until the end of the semester when they're no longer available. But it's a great studying tool. Many of our students love having that as a possibility. And so that's another opportunity. The third is that you actually can come to USC's campus. So you are welcome to come to campus when your schedule allows. I know, the faculty and advisors love to meet you in person if you can, but it's not required. So we definitely have students that never step foot on USC's campus, and that's completely fine as well. We also have, commencement and graduation ceremonies are actually coming up this year, and you're welcome to participate in those. Again, you don't have to, but it is something that we have for our Viterbi students. And we even have also a special commencement reception in addition for our online students, which is a great way to connect with other online students as well. And then in terms of the exams, we get questions a lot about the exams. And so, if you're in the Los Angeles, Orange, or Ventura counties, on a normal basis, you would take your exams on USC's campus. I know that because of COVID, there's been a lot of online exams as well. But in the future, when everything's back to quote unquote the old normal, you would take your exams on USC's campus or at a proctored location on site. We do have a dedicated Viterbi exam coordinator, Shirley Shutt, who's fantastic, and she would be able to assist with any, if you need assistance with finding a location that is convenient to where you're located, and in order to make sure that you're taking your exams as close to the time that it takes place on USC's campus. And just some additional information. So we do have, in addition to the formal application process, we also have the limited status enrollment option. So limited status is a way to take courses before formally applying for admission. So what this allows you to do is you can actually get started as early as this coming summer, classes can start as early as May, but it depends on the individual course during the summer. Summer courses are actually much faster or shorter. So they're a little bit more intense. So just keep that in mind, but it's definitely a possibility to take those courses depending on, the course availability. Also keeping in mind summer is, is much more limited in terms of the number of courses versus the fall and spring semesters. But in order to be qualified for limited status, you do have to have an undergraduate degree in engineering or related field, depending on the program that you're wishing to pursue. And you do have to have a cumulative undergrad GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale or its equivalent. And there's a maximum of 12 units you can take as a limited status student. And, while it's a great way to get a jump start on taking courses, just keep in mind that it does not guarantee that you'll be formally admitted. So if you're planning to later on apply for a master's degree or a grad certificate program, you do still need to formally apply. But if you're interested in getting started as early as summer, you can visit that link provided there. Again, I will be sending, the slides within a couple business days after this session, so you'll have these links and additional links as well. In addition, there is what's called the employer reimbursement deferment programs for those, that are working that may be receiving tuition assistance from their company. So you can actually defer your upfront payment of tuition until after the semester is over, if you follow those steps. So it's a great way to, not have to pay full out of pocket up front, because we know, especially if you're taking more than one course, that can be a bit much. So that is one option there. And this is the current tuition structure up until summer 2022. Again, keeping in mind that the tuition is subject to change, and this doesn't include the per semester fees, smaller per semester fees, luckily, that you may also want to take into consideration. And the tuition is the same whether you are an online student or on campus student, because you're in the same program, you're in the same courses, whether you're online or on campus. And in addition to what was I saying? Keeping in mind, again, that there's other things that you want to take into consideration, like any proctoring fees, material fees as well. But luckily, we do have scholarships. Not only do we have, on-campus scholarships that you can apply during the application process for those that are planning to apply as an on-campus student, but we also have for online Dana Viterbi students. We have the Dana Viterbi scholarship, a number of scholarships that are merit-based. So they are for master's students pursuing the program online that are not fully funded or do not receive any funding at all. They range from 1 to 4 units of tuition. And you can actually reapply for this scholarship each year. You can actually receive it each year. So we definitely encourage you to apply. You do need to have an undergraduate cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. Again, it's a merit-based scholarship. And the fall 2022 scholarship deadline is going to be Monday, July 18th. So for the separate application and more details, you can go to the link there for more information. And then I did see that a few of you, or a couple were that registered for this session, are active duty military veterans. So I do also want to point out the fact that we have a USC Viterbi active duty military scholarship. So these are partial scholarships that for any active duty military personnel who are part of any of the military branches. It's also for those, whether you're pursuing a program online, on campus, grad certificate, master's degree, doesn't matter. This is available to you. And the deadline for that is going to be Monday, July 18th. We also have an unlimited number of yellow ribbon program or funding available. So what this allows you to do is for those that are qualified at the post 9/11 GI Bill benefit rate, you can actually earn up to or get up to $10,000 from USC Viterbi that the VA or Veterans Administration will then match. So that could actually, basically pay for almost your entire degree program, and in some cases, the entire degree program. And then finally, we have the USC Schoen Family Scholarship for veterans that are for those that are admitted on a full-time basis. So that 8 units at the graduate level is what would be required. But for more details about, the funding, scholarships, as well as the support for active duty military and veterans, I do encourage you to go to that link for more information. Okay, so to get started, just a couple quick links here. Those that are looking to pursue the program on campus, you are welcome to come to campus and, visit and explore, but we also have a virtual tour of the campus for those that can't make it, and then start your application as early as you can. Same for, and actually one note there, for spring 2023 for on-campus applicants, the application will be available in July, just so you know. And then for online Dana Viterbi applicants, you are also welcome to apply as early as fall 2022, again, by that May 31st deadline. And then for limited status, we encourage you to complete the Dana Viterbi profile to see whether or not you are approved to take courses as a limited status student. Okay, so I spoke enough there. I want to now open the floor, and great. I see some questions coming in already. So questions for Dr. Becerik as well as Christine. Okay, so this first one is, hi, my name is Daniel Robles, and I'm applying to the Master of Construction Management program. Thank you all for the insight today. Very excited. That's great, Daniel. Great to hear. A few questions. So is there a lot of content specific to California? For example, construction, contracts, and laws. I'll start there.
Dr. Becerik, did you want to jump in? Did you want me to start off?
Why don't you talk about our class, focusing specifically on this one, Christine?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this class is a 2-unit elective course that you're bringing up, and it is actually, you don't have to know specific California law, although this is taught by an attorney who practices in California, but it's really helpful if you're going to be doing construction in the United States as a whole. So it's not just for California. Certainly some case studies might focus on that, but it's broad enough where it can be, it's a portable skill set. Oh, excuse me, my lights go off if I don't move just right. So that's definitely a course that you can look into. Obviously, we probably have on the structural side, we do have courses that focus on earthquake engineering and different things like that. Earthquakes don't just happen here, but we do use a lot of examples, obviously close by as well. Anything else you want to add, Dr. Becerik, about?
I think what is important here is our instructors bring in their expertise and experience to the classroom, and that could be within California. Of course, we're here and we focus on that, but as Christine said, it's not limited to just our state.
Great. Great to know. All right, the next question is, how practical / hands-on is the program? Are there many in-person learning sessions that are critical to attend? Example, site visits.
Yes, there are numerous site visits, and Christine can talk about some of our professors' field trips. This is definitely there. We also bring in, I think we have to mention that, several guest speakers, depending on the topic, who are experts into our classrooms as well. Actually, we have one class where we bring in all innovators within the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. And you, for example, in that case, you see all the innovation that is happening currently in our industry and getting up to speed with all of those new developments. Field trips, absolutely yes. Christine, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give one example. We're very close to a water Hyperion. It's like the Hyperion Sanitation Water Center in El Segundo, and so our students will go down there and just kind of do a field trip. And sometimes if you get involved in research, you might find yourself working there with under faculty supervision as well. But for those of you that's just one example, but for those of you who are looking at the den option, know like that there are enough opportunities to also interface with kind of, partners in industry. So if you are able to do a site visit, yes, obviously that's wonderful. But if you're den and maybe not in California, we're still going to be able to connect you with industry. But if you're a den student, but you're in LA, you can always join us for our student org sometimes set up a set of events where they're going to go visit with a major construction firm, and so that's something that you can link up with even as a den student, right? You're supposed to all the resources that we have at USC are open to you as a den student. I think the only for students out of state, that might be too much to ask that you come to a site visit, but know that if you opt to be den and you're in the LA area, come join us. And obviously our on-campus students, you can leverage all those points anytime.
Great. Okay, and then another one is it possible to enroll in elective courses outside of the ones currently listed online?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I should have spent a little time talking about this. So all of our programs have usually a core set of courses that you must take. And then many of them have elective options for you, but they are pre-approved electives. So if you want to do something different, you must get permission. So I emphasize that because there are some programs where they can, based on your past experience and then kind of the direction that you're trying to go, sometimes another elective can be approved, but usually electives have been thoughtfully picked out to complement your core coursework. But it is possible if you've looked at, for instance, the Masters of Construction Management, you'll see that that program already includes courses from real estate and development, and other departments across campus. Many of our majors include elective options in computer science, and different things like that. So there are already a lot of elective options outside of the department built in. But then, for students who feel that there is a course that they must take outside the department that isn't listed on there, that is usually discussed on a case-by-case basis once you're here. I have seen it happen. I've also seen where the faculty advisors have said, you know what, you really got to stay here because this is going to benefit you if you take one of our approved electives.
Great. And then I have another question that we do get from time to time is, are students master's students, are they able to engage in research or do any directed research in their program?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
Not sure who wants to answer.
We had the same answer. Yes, absolutely. So directed research, I myself, just one faculty member, probably I work with 1 to 3 or maybe 4 students a year who has interest in research or interest in a topic that they want to dive a little bit deeper. And I'm not the only faculty member. You can imagine, like, others are also doing this. So it's very common to do that. There are also, depending on the research group and the funding availability, you can, if you're interested in research, you can contact the professor whose research you're interested in and work with their PhD students in their projects. Sometimes this is based on they get paid for this if there's funding availability, as I mentioned, but sometimes they also volunteer because they want to know just if research is for them, right? And that gives them an experience in terms of different areas of research, or when they want to know which field they want to pursue next. So I have students who came to my group and then went to a structural engineering professors group and such. That's a great way to also understand the field and the cutting edge research being done in different fields.
And it can often count towards your degree requirements. Not always, but usually it can with careful planning ahead of time. And so that doesn't necessarily add time to your schedule. You can use some of those as elective credits.
Great, good to know. And then I guess also another kind of related question we also get, can they do it? Is a thesis required, and or is it possible to do a thesis?
We have a thesis.
I'm sure you both have the answers.
No, we were waiting for each other, I think, but it is not very common. Most of our students go opt in for no thesis option. But there are a few who are either required because they have a government scholarship or another scholarship, and that it is a possibility to do a thesis option.
Okay. All right. So I don't think that there are any other questions from the audience. So with that, for those of you joining us for this session, and of course those that are watching the recording in the future, always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. For those that are looking to pursue the program on campus, you can go to the contact link provided there. And then for online Denim Viterbi applicants, denimviterbi.usc.edu, that goes to myself as well as my colleague Marilyn Mao, who's also on here today. Sorry, I didn't introduce her earlier, but we always make an effort to respond within a 24-hour period on normal business days, so you will receive a response. And we're also happy to set up a call with you. So oftentimes, especially if you have lots of questions and some things are just easier to discuss over the phone, so we're happy to provide guidance for any of those questions. But I want to thank you so much, Dr. Becerik and Christine so insightful. I learned a lot today myself, and so I'm so thankful for you taking out the time today, and for all of you for joining us today for today's session. I hope you found it really helpful and insightful too. But have a great rest of your day and your week. Take care, and as we see at USC, everyone fight on. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.